Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Uncharted 2 Remastered on Brutal difficulty. This is my guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Chapter 6 of 26, and this fight is an all-out war. It is very difficult, but it's undeniably fun. So Chloe is going to throw a grenade within about 15 seconds. So what I do is I come over here and take out these two guys. And what I do is I throw a grenade in tandem with her. I throw one at those two guys examining the map, and then I throw one up the stairs a little bit by the church. Because what I want to do is I want to save the rockets for any good clusterings of enemies that I can find to best utilize the two rockets that you get with this rocket launcher. And sometimes enemies are just not going to be in very good groupings, and you're probably going to just want to see about tossing some grenades at first. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm standing here trying to just see if I can get anybody, like 2 to 3 enemies in a group. And you know, sometimes it works out that you kill a bunch of guys, sometimes not so much. You're gonna have to kill seemingly like 1,000 enemies on this part, but I've got to tell you guys, they drew first blood, not me. I'm just kidding. I had so much fun on this part, I can't even tell you. But I've got something very sad to share in a moment here, because this was my second take, and I've got to tell you, if you don't bring the FAL into this chapter, you might want to consider redoing the previous chapter. And I had to do that, unfortunately, and not because I didn't bring it into this chapter, but because of another horror story that I'm going to tell you about after we're done with this fight. But the FAL, or the fall, I'll just call it a fall. It's an acronym, hell. This is one of the best places to stand over here. Standing to the left is much better than standing to the right. You're vulnerable over there to the right. To the left, you're safe. So once you get over to about here and kill out a certain number of enemies, you will start noticing enemies coming from the left. You do not get flanked from the right. What happens is you've just got a ton of enemies on the top of the steps up there. And this weapon is one of the most badass weapons in the game. It's just absolutely wonderful for strength. The rate of fire is not the best, but the strength of it and the ability to zoom in. See how this is not very good? They can hit you through the bricks. So if you can help it, try not to stand on the right side unless you need to, like I kind of needed to right there. The thing about this great gun is that it's got the ability to hold 150 rounds. Okay, so now we've got enemies coming over here to the left a little bit. So all you need to do is just use the cover trick and then aim. And then aim in over here. Like I said, you don't get flanked from the right, which is really good. But this fight is very difficult, and if you want to push this, if you want to push this up a little bit, what you can do is you don't have to kill all the enemies that I'm killing. What I'm doing over here is I'm just trying to have a blast, because this is one of the, I think it's probably the funnest fight in the game, the most fun fight, I should say. I know funnest is not a word, but you're probably going to think that you hate this fight, most people, because it's just it seems way too overwhelming. It seems like it can't be done because there's just way too many enemies. I just find it really fun, even though I had a horror story about it. But so about pushing that spawn, you can go up to the left side of the church where I told you that enemies would come out after a certain amount of time. And you don't have to kill all of the enemies, because if you go up there, you can actually push the spawn so that you don't have to kill as many enemies as I'm going to be showing you that I'm killing, and you will get a checkpoint without having to kill as many enemies. The first moment you see the up on the D-pad for the point of interest, you should be getting a checkpoint. I'm just out to have fun, guys. This is probably one of my most enjoyable chapters. But now I'm using the Magnum over here to pick off people. So you get, let me see. I know you get, there's I believe you get 2 checkpoints. I only utilized one. on this take. I'll show you exactly where I ended up dying, but when you do, okay, so you kind of, okay, I take that back. Let me withdraw that. You sometimes will get flanked, but the only thing is, it's that shield guy. I hate the shield guys in this game. I just I find them difficult to deal with. Aim throwing the grenade is one of the best things to do. I'm taking a lot of chances on this too. You might notice that I only have one magnum round, and I do believe that I ran out of my FAL, so I'm gonna have to switch out the ladder for the AK-47, but I have to do so at my own risk. And the AK-47 that I'm looking for, I'm not sure where it ended up being. There's a couple up there. Again, you're gonna have to do this at your own risk. There's the defender, but you could have definitely went up to the left side of the church and got yourself a checkpoint by now. I'm just trying to kill everybody. I'm trying to be John Rambo. Hell, I'm not trying to. I am John Rambo. I'm about as cool as that guy. Anyway, so now I'm going to come up here and basically a lot of people are just holed up inside of the church, if that is a church. And I think we've just about cleared everybody out. Chloe's giving us some signals telling us that there's probably nobody left. So now we're going to advance up here, and I'm just going to check out what's going on in the church. Yeah, Chloe's giving us a signal that everybody's dead. So inside the church, there's a ton of good stuff. There's a bunch of grenades. There's an FAL. And I'm just trying to look up here, see who's in there. It looks like we've cleared everybody out. So I'm going to come in here and grab some nades. And at this point, or around about this point, you're going to be getting the up on the D-pad prompt, which means you're getting a checkpoint. Now, this truck is going to pull up. If you can be over here when it pulls up and throw a grenade, you can kill most or all of the 4 enemies inside the truck. It didn't work out too much over there, but this is the point at which I died. On my second time around this take, I will actually show you the exact point. It was somewhere around here, so I can confirm that you get a checkpoint. So you need not worry. You don't have to do the entire war over right now. But now what's going to happen is you're going to have enemies coming to the left, and they're going to be going... they're not really going to be charging you directly, but if you're over here, you're going to notice that people will be coming from that area, and they're going to try to hole up inside that building again. So... now if you want to go into that truck and use the turret, you can, but you're very vulnerable when you're in it. I ended up doing it, but okay, here's another checkpoint. I think that might not be another checkpoint. If it isn't though, you're all well and good because you have that other checkpoint. But one of the funnest things to do on this actually afterwards is to do all the looting and check out everything. And the FAL, guys, it's one of my favorite weapons. So anyway, I'm gonna head inside this truck and see if this is actually quite a vulnerable position, because enemies can shoot you from atop those steps. But again, we've got a checkpoint, so we have the luxury of fooling around. So there aren't too many guys left. They really aren't. So I'm gonna try to hop on the turret and see if I can't mow down some enemies. And it turns out that we did. And it looks like we're just about finished with this chapter too. So, or excuse me, not this chapter, but this fight. This bastard might be the last one. That's it, guys. You want to know the horror story? There's my jump for joy. And that was truly a jump for joy, because I won the war on fucking drugs. But at this point, loot. Do all of your looting. If you need to, reset the checkpoint, and you can do the weapon switching trick. And what I would recommend is taking the FAL, picking up all 4 grenades. You will get 4 grenades, and I've got the defender too. You want to know what happened? I came over here, I did that entire fight, I did not use the checkpoint, that is to say, I did not die in that entire war, And then when I was going to shut off the recording, I realized that the recording wasn't even fucking on. And I got so upset. Usually, my Elgato software does background recording, so that records even though you're not, even though you don't record. Sometimes it records in the background for you, like as a backup. But it wasn't on. It's called flashback recording, and I didn't check that box, so I did that entire fight without dying, and I had to redo it because when I restarted this chapter. Here's the first appearance of the heavy too. I hate these heavies, but we'll talk about them in a minute because I need to say what happened over here because it was so sad. But I did that whole fucking fight, and then I found out that I wasn't recording. So when I restarted the chapter, they gave me dog shit. They gave me the AK-47 and something else, and I didn't want the AK-47. I wanted the FAL, so I had to redo chapter 5, which is not an easy chapter, but. I had to redo that chapter from chapter select, and then redo it, come back here, and then restart that fight. And what I'm hoping is that that's a pretty good weapon too, right there. What I'm hoping is that that doesn't jeopardize my trophy, because I have not got the brutal trophy because I've done chapter switching, and I think I switched the difficulty at some point to see what was going on, but. If going through chapter select jeopardizes your trophy, I'm going to be really upset. Okay, this is a checkpoint area. This is a really fun area. Now, we've got 3 grenades. We used one to weaken that heavy. Now, this part over here, there's 4 enemies, and you get 2 different scenarios over here. One of the scenarios is that just one guy will come to the broken out window. The other scenario is three of the 4 enemies will come to the window, and you might be able to guess what I'm gonna do with these guys. I would say that this is the better scenario because the only thing is, watch this shit, guys. There you go, motherfuckers. And then we just have one more guy to kill over here. And the nice thing is, I got my grenade back on this guy, so I think there's a chance that you might be able to get your grenade back too on this part over here. I hate when these guys give me a problem like that. The other scenario is that just one guy will come to the window and you can pull him out. And then the bad thing is that the 3 guys are hanging out over here, and it's impossible to do the stealth. So that's really unfortunate. And sadly, this guy can see you through the wall. See this guy? They know you're here every time. You cannot be stealthy on this part. They see you through that wall. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this game sometimes? It's such nonsense. But now what you want to do is come up here, aim over your left shoulder, and you can either throw a grenade or you can weaken these enemies with this exploding canister. Notice that it didn't kill them, but it weakened them to the point where I only needed to use a little burst of that weapon and it killed them. So it's your choice. I didn't want to waste a grenade on them. They're not worth it. And now there's going to be one more guy coming up here. It's a sort of a cheap situation because I think he spawns when you jump to an adjacent piece of the cover, because he wasn't spawning here, but I did see my head come up there, so it's possible that he spawns over there. He ends up killing himself with a grenade, so that's always nice to see. Very nice to see. So now we're going to help Chloe get out of the elevator. You want to head over here to the right. There's a junction box down here that you need to interact with. That is going to get her out of the elevator for us. And then climb the ladder up here. And then you need to head over here to the right once she rejoins you. Hold the triangle buttons so that you can give her a lift up. And then she'll drop the ladder for you. But you might say, you're a liar. You didn't do that that whole section without dying. I did. Why would I lie about it? I was amazed that I did it. It was the best fight I've ever done on that part. And to see that I had not recorded it was just heartbreaking. But I recovered from it. I did pretty well, but nowhere near as well as what happened before. So anyway, you've got to take your wins with your losses in these games. Okay, so continuing on with the level, I did have to edit right there because you have to wait until Chloe comes up to interact with the zipline. And if I'm not mistaken, we've got not bullshit coming up, but pure grade bullshit. And the only thing that's good about it is that after you do the running sequence with the helicopter that we're going to fight at the end of the chapter, as long as you jump to the building that you are going to be fighting these enemies on, you get a checkpoint. Now, I decided not to throw grenades just because I just didn't. I'm being more frugal with my grenades. If you want to throw grenades at these guys, you can, but I'm telling you, all you have to do is just jump to here, and even if you jump onto the building and die, you get a checkpoint. So that's why you saw a crossfade over there. So it really isn't necessary to throw a grenade. If you want to, go ahead. There's going to be times when the grenades will be necessary. I'm not sure why the SWAT turn failed right there. It's probably because those opposing pieces of cover were too far from one another. But this part down here is where you get the next checkpoint, and this part's not bad. It's the part coming up afterwards that you really feel the failings of brutal difficulty. And what I mean by that is from the time it takes you to spawn to get a few feet over to a desk where you need to hide, it's the chances of dying are 9 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10. Like it's really bad. So anyway, after those enemies are killed, you want to come over here and look how fucking awesome this was. Not what I did, but just what the game is capable of. I started hitting this guy, and then as I was finishing off, he was going to slam my head into the wall, but the game gave me the opportunity to parry that, and then I parried it, and then finished him off. That's amazing. And you know what else is amazing? Chloe getting in my way over here. So this part down here, again, as long as you touch down on the floor, you get a checkpoint. So you're going to see probably another crossfade. So you see right there, just getting to this desk, you're going to die over and over and over and over again, or you might not. You might get here and be all fine. But you've got something else to deal with that's a little bit unfair, and what it is no cover over here while enemies are spotting and the helicopters trying to shoot down this entire building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a grenade at the two spawners over here. Throwing grenades in this game makes enemies necessarily cower, and that gives you a moment of breathing room while you throw another grenade or start shooting at them. And at this point, all you've got to do is just survive. But if this guy starts shooting at you and kills you, you know, what can you do? But on that part, you're going to get killed if you don't jump towards the glass window there and get the cutscene. So if you don't jump and just stand around, you're going to die. So that room can be extremely frustrating. That might be a magnum over there, but I'm going to disregard it. Now, our favorite weapon here, the fall, we're going to have to switch with a grenade launcher to deal with the helicopter. But for the time being, we can still use it. On the next fight, we're going to use it a little bit. I think the handgun, though, is probably going to be used a little bit more. So just jump on over here. You've got 2 fights to do on the same checkpoint. And these guys have grenade launchers. And I'm going to do what I did last time. It's pretty helpful, actually. You're really vulnerable right here. But if you edge over to the left a little bit, you're much more safe. It just depends if the enemies are over to the right as much as they were for me over here. And if you don't want to do this technique, you can just lob grenades over there if you want to. But yeah, that's a pretty handy spot to stand right there. See? And once we lower the bridge to cross to the area where these enemies were, there's going to be another wave. They're on a different building, but we can safely use the FAL to deal with them. So over here, we've got some more ammunition. I've got a grenade. So if you wanted to replace that grenade that you lobbed over there to deal with them, you can do that right there. Just remember that if these guys kill you over here, you're going to have to redo what you just did over here. So I would not advise using the grenade launchers that are over here on these enemies over here, because you're going to want to use it for the chopper. So you can safely shoot through the metal gate here on the edge of the building. I really like that. I like that pieces of the environment can be shot through like this without disrupting your gunfire. Because if it disrupted my gunfire, I'd be pretty pissed off, and I would be annoyed. Especially if they could shoot through it and if I couldn't shoot through it. That would make me upset. So we want to get to the chopper with 9 rounds, because there's going to be a pickup for the grenade launcher at the beginning. They're going to give you 3 rounds for it. So if you come there with 9, you can max it out at 12. And I believe if you don't miss a single shot with all 12, you kill it. Now, there's going to be a couple of spawners that they throw at you as well. They're dealt with either grenade launcher rounds or actual grenades. Dealing with the chopper using the grenade launcher is admittedly an art, because it's not like a rocket launcher that the rocket shoots straight forward. There's a certain degree of an arc to the rounds, so that can make aiming rather difficult, especially when it's in movement. Now, when it's not in movement, it's rather easy to hit it. But when it's moving, you're going to have to adjust your aim. If it's moving to what is our right, then you want to aim a little bit to the right of it. So you're not going to be directly aiming over it. You're going to be aiming over to the right of it where it's expected to be, and vice versa with the left side. Now, I've never been able to not miss a shot on it. Like I said, it's an art that I just don't really possess. It's sort of like questioning a witness in test. It's like questioning a witness in court using a translator. It's a fine art, like Chris Darden would say. I was watching the O.J. Simpson trial. I found that the actual trial itself, although I was watching it back in '94, which tells you how old I am, I found that watching the actual trial was much more entertaining than the FX series. I couldn't finish it. I didn't like it, but that's besides the point. Much besides the point. You've got a couple of lackeys over here, and you want to adjust your position over here to whichever way that the cover will afford you the best protection, because the chopper is going to be moving around. I wouldn't say quite a lot, but it's going to keep shifting to give you a proper amount of challenge to it. And the whole thing is pretty fair. And like I said, if you don't miss a single shot, I think that 12 will take it down. And I think this is maybe the last one. Nope, one more. So sufficient cover, just a couple of soldiers they throw at you, and it's not difficult. It isn't difficult. And look how this grenade disappears. Did it disappear, or did I pick it up? I can't remember. I thought it disappeared at the time. So now, these guys had the AK, so we're gonna have to not have our FAL anymore. I guess I'll call it the FAL rather than the fall. Maybe I'll just call it interchangeably. I'm gonna go first because normally ladies get to go first, but we're talking about Chloe, so I'm gonna head on over here first, pick up that cache of ammunition for myself, and there may also be another 44 over here too. Not on this building, but the building to the right. I thought it may have been over there, but I didn't see anything, so I decided to not be able to center the camera as I made my way back over here. And again, there may not be a 44. I thought there was. But that's Chapter 6. Chapter 7 is not too enjoyable for me personally. But that's pretty much the extent of it. I've enjoyed commentating it. Not as much as I enjoyed playing it though, but still, you've got to do both, because there really is nothing worse than just watching gameplay at that and me talking over it, unless the person talking over it is quite annoying and you hate that person. Although I still got people following me, watching my videos, downvoting them, still watching the videos who detest and loathe me. And just downvote the videos for pure fun because they're evil folks. So you've got to account for folks like that in this world, evil folks. But I know you're a good person. You're one of the good persons. And on that note, we will end our discussion and continue it on the next chapter. This has been Chapter 6. I will see you in 7. Take care.